Okay, so I'm presenting a Google Drive screen. I'm hoping everybody can see. If you can't, it's just maybe the way you've got things laid out. It's really difficult for me to try to help you while I'm trying to do a presentation. Same with the chat window. It's a little difficult to multitask. So if you do have a question, I'd say just pop it in the chat window for now. And I'm not going to exit out of this meeting right away when it's over. So I will try to catch you. If I don't catch you during the meeting, then I'll follow up with you probably personally with an email if you have a question, okay? So don't feel like if I don't get to you, then we're not going to talk about it. We will have an answer. It's just, like I say, really hard to try to multitask presenting a screen and dealing with issues that pop up and all that. So just try to be patient with me as we go along. I'm hoping everybody, though, can at least see my screen so that we can start talking about Google Slides. Google Slides. So basically what Google Slides is a presentation format for online. So if you're familiar with PowerPoint, which I'm sure many of you are, this is Google's version of PowerPoint, which is basically an online version offered in the same fashion that all of our other Google tools are offered. So Docs, Sheets, Forms, our email platform, all those kind of things. So Slides is just another application that's available online for you to build presentations. Accessing Slides, a couple ways to do that. You can go to drive.google.com in your address bar. If you type in that, if you're logged into Gmail, then it'll take you right here to your Google Drive page, your homepage for Google Drive. You won't have to enter any credentials, but if you're not logged in, it will prompt you to log on, and that's where you'd use your PVNC account. You're at pvnccdsb.on.ca email account. Log in, it'll bring you to your Google Drive page, your home page here. Also, if you type in slides.google.com, so I'll do it here. It also brings you right to your landing page for Google Slides as well, as you can see on my screen. Another way to get there is if you're in your Gmail, there's a little, what they call a waffle up here in the right-hand corner. This is a Google Apps waffle. If you click on that, then you'll have some options that come up in there with all the different Google tools. Some of them I just spoke about. In there, you'll see a Google Slides option. You may have to scroll down through the list, but there should be a Slides option there. If you click on it, you can actually drag it up to the top, which I find handy. So you may want to have some of your more used applications up here at the top so that the next time you go in there, you'll have access to it instead of having to scroll down. You can see that I use Slides a little bit, mostly Calendar, Gmail, my Docs, and a little bit of Classroom now that teachers are using it. So that's just another way to get in, is through what we call the waffle. So there's some options there. I think what we can do first probably is just create a basic slide right off scratch. So I do want to, before I start that though, I do want to talk about a little bit about what I'm going to talk about in this presentation, just so you have some expectations. We're going to talk about how to access slides, which I just did. We're going to talk a little bit about how to create a new slide within the Slides interface. And then we'll talk about some features inside the Slides program, things like how to set a theme on your slides, how to change the background, how to add some additional slides to your presentation, adding text, adding an image, adding video. So it's just some basic tasks within Google Slides itself. And then I'll basically show you how to share, which you can do for any Google Doc, Sheets, or Slides. There's a share option that you could share it out with either students or other staff members, things like that. So we're just going to cover those kind of basic features, then leave it open at the end for some Q&A. You may have, I just looking at the registration form, and there was some spots for some questions. I noticed some people had some a little more advanced questions. I can either answer those, I can try to answer those during the Q&A, or we can just I can follow up with you after this presentation. So we'll try to get to everybody's questions, but if we don't, like I said, I'll try to follow up after. Because to be quite honest with you, I'm pretty new to slides myself, and in just prepping for this presentation, I've kind of just been jumping in and playing around with things and trying to figure out, okay, what's the most basic features we would need? How will it kind of apply to our staff in PVNC? There's a lot of things you can do with slides. I'm by no means an expert on those things, but I will try to give you guys a little handle on how to get in, use it, share it, kind of some basic features. After that, it's basically you have to go online and look around through either the Learning Academy in Google, or just Googling if you have a certain question or issue. Like an advanced feature is probably best to just Google it and then see if what the general public are saying. So I'll do my best to answer that question if you have one, but I may have to refer it to something online, or me going and doing some research to see if it's possible. Okay. But I'm hoping that at least this session will get you going, give you some familiar, some tools to get going on the program and just doing some familiar tasks with Google Slides. So I like to start from Google Drive, but like I said, you can start from slides.google.com or Google Drive. I do a lot of my work within Drive. We've done some sessions on Drive already in the last few weeks, so a lot of you should be familiar with Drive and some of the features within it. If I go to the new option at the top left, I have an options here for creating new things within Drive. One of those things is Google Slides. So if I click on that, if I go new Google Slides, it'll actually load an untitled presentation. So this is a blank document right here that, basically it's yours to work with now if you haven't built one yet. And I do apologize if it's a little slow coming up. I don't know if it's this machine I'm actually using an older machine here. My laptop, funny enough, is out for service, so I'm using an older Yoga. So it may be a little bit slower to load the interface. So just bear with me. So I've got basically an untitled presentation now that's come up, and this is basically my slides template. This is blank now. I have options here on what I can do. If I want to use a theme, there's some preloaded themes on the right-hand side that I can scroll through. These are built-in themes from Google. So there may be something in there. If you want to start a presentation, there may be something in there that piques your interest. If I select one there, we'll just scroll through. If I double click on it, then I'm loading this as my main theme now. I don't have to choose a theme. If I wanted to create a blank slide, which was the default, then I could work with that as well. So in here, it's giving me a blank template. If I want to add text, I just click on the text box. And I can add text. I have a bunch of options along the top here on how I can manipulate that text. So if I want to change something within the text itself, I just highlight it. And then I have some options here, like I can change the size. Or I can change the actual font itself with the drop-down menu. So these are kind of handy. As you can see, it's changing. So I have some options along here. I can bold it. Perhaps I want to change the actual color. I have some options. So most of the text options now are along this toolbar at the top. Now that is the I think this is the one I want here. So I do have some options along here. If I preload, if I bring up a, or actually, so if you want to add a new slide, then it's as simple as, right now, this is my presentation, so not much in my presentation. There's 2 slides. If I want to add another slide, I can click on the plus button over here, and it's going to add another slide below. So this is my slide deck over here. Right now, I've got 3 slides. I haven't done much with these slides, but this, like I say, this is a basic, this is how you'd start right off the gamut. If I wanted to add a photo or a video, then I can use the insert option at the top here, menu, and I have some options. So let's go and insert an image. And when I do that, I have some options so I can upload it from my computer. So that's local to this computer that I'm working on. Or maybe the photo that I have is in Google Drive or in my Google Photos section. In this case, I'm going to use upload from computer. And then it brings up a basic Windows dialog box where I would browse to the location of my photo. I've just created a couple photos that we can use, or saved a few photos that we can use for this. So point to it. Now it's creating the image. It's loading the image into my slide. And it's actually upside down, which is funny. I can rotate it. Once the image is in there, you can manipulate it by right-clicking on it. You'll have some options. And you can also resize it. So if you click on it, you'll get the little sizer bars on the side. You can move it around and manipulate it the way you like. I'm sure many of you are familiar with doing this. So this is basically, I've just added an image. I've imported an image from a local spot on my computer, and now I'm mucking around with it. It's the same with video. So if I wanted to add video, I would use the same insert option at the top. Click on video. Now, video is a little different. Video, you cannot insert video that's saved locally. So if you have video saved to a folder on your desktop or on the C drive, you have to move it to Google Drive first in order to insert it. I'm not sure why they've done it that way, but that's just the way Google set it up. So if I want to insert a video, I want to make sure it's on my Google Drive first. Select the video. And very much the same way, it's it can be moved around. The window can be resized. And it's still loading here. And on the right-hand side, it gives me some playback options for that video because I've selected it. So autoplay when presenting basically means when the user comes to that slide in your presentation, if I have this checked off, then it starts playing my video right away. By default, it's set to, display the play button. So they actually have to click play. You can set the size of the video, the size of the window. I've done that actually just by clicking the drag bars itself, but you could manipulate it, the size of it through here as well. Things like position on the actual slide itself, you could set that. I find it's a bit easier just to use the actual drag option. So I've added now a video and an audio, and I can do that with any slide. Like I say, though, if you want to add video, you've got to have it in Google Drive, but there is kind of a neat option here too, I found, for video, for adding it through YouTube as well. If you're searching for a particular thing, let's see. Do a search. So this is just Google searching for me on things like on the solar system, but perhaps you've already found a video on YouTube somewhere and you just copied the URL. if you go to the by URL option, just basically paste it in there, and then it'll paste the video right into your slide. So you maybe want to do a little research ahead of time, find out what videos you want to paste. That if they're on YouTube, copy that URL, come in here and paste them, and then they'll be within your document. Okay, let's go down to a blank slide. Now it gives me some layout options here. If I click on plus, if I keep clicking plus, it's going to give me new slides. These are all different slides within my program, but I also have some layout options that are by default. I think there's about 11 of them. I'm just going to go with the blank one right now. And so I've got my blank slide. If I click my slide over here on the left, then I work with it on the right. So it's the same as pretty much standard preview window, just like email, just like Google Docs, just like Drive. You have most of your options on the left-hand side. You do your work in the center. So I've got a blank document or a blank slide. I can click on background if I want at the top, and I can change the color. I have a whole palette option. If I click on choose image, I can browse now. Perhaps I want my background to be a certain image. So I have options now. I can upload an image from my computer, or I can go to Google Drive, or I can do an image search. So if you know you have certain images that you want to select ahead of time, you go and find those and either pop them into your Google Drive or put them on your computer somewhere. And now I've just brought that image in as my background. If I wanted every slide to have that particular image, then I would use the add to theme option. Oops. And all of my slides would now have that background. So anytime you see add to theme, it relates to all of the slides within the Google slide presentation, not just the one that you're working on at that time. So I've actually added a background now via a picture. I think transition's kind of neat, but I'll show you a completed presentation here first. It's a little messy with just these slides I've created. So if I go to open, actually what we'll do is, instead of that, we'll go back to Drive, we'll do an upload. Perhaps you have some Microsoft PowerPoint presentations from the past that you want to start using within Google Drive now, or within Google Slides. So you need to upload your PowerPoint presentation. So you do that within Google Drive. Go to New, go to File, Upload, and then browse the location on your computer where your PowerPoints are. Perhaps you got them on the desktop, or you've got them in a My Documents folder somewhere. I'm going to import a PowerPoint presentation. It just takes a moment to upload. So what I've done here is I've moved up a PowerPoint presentation into my Google Drive folder. When I do that, and I try to open it, I have an option menu that says up here, open in Google Slides. If I do that, and then what it's basically doing here is opening your PowerPoint presentation within the Google Slides interface. It's not actually saved as a Google Slides document quite yet. There is another step first. And you can tell that I'm viewing it still in its native format. So it's in its PowerPoint format, because you can see the extension is listed right here, Microsoft PowerPoint format. If I want to move it over to a Google Slides document, then it's as simple as hitting the File menu and going Save as Google Slides. So perhaps you're ready to, abandon the native PowerPoint program on your computer and start using Google Slides to work with PowerPoint presentations or slides presentations. If you're ready to do that, then you would follow these steps, essentially moving your PowerPoint presentations up into Google Slides format. So what I've done here is now I've saved that presentation in a slides format. I still have it in PowerPoint. It doesn't delete the PowerPoint presentation, but it creates a copy with the same name as a slides presentation. And this is one that was actually completed by Mitch Champagne, I believe, at Immaculate. So it's kind of nice that he sent this out to staff there for accessing Google Classroom. But this is my own copy, so I'll show you a couple things on how to, he's got his slides nicely set up. One of the features I didn't get into was the transition feature, which I think is kind of neat. You can actually set that. So what this is how your slides come into form when you're viewing them in presentation. So if you want them to fade in, fades the standard. If you want them to come in a different fashion, then you have some options over here. You click on transition at the top, and then you have your options on the right. Perhaps you want your slides to come in via cube way. So I'll select cube, and then I'll hit play. And so they're coming in a different format. I don't know if that took. Hang on a moment. I'm trying to show you how that was set up. Let's see. Apply to all slides. There, you can see now it's coming in a cube style. So that's kind of neat. So transitions are basically how your slides are displayed when you're presenting your PowerPoint presentation, or when somebody's scrolling through your presentation and they put it in presentation mode. It's how your slides transition in. So there are some options in there to do that. Sharing now. Sharing is something that we use across the Google platform for everything from Google Classroom files to Google Docs files to forms. The sharing can be done within Google Drive itself in the standard way of right-clicking the file and then using the share option. But an easier way I find of doing it is actually doing it right within the slide itself. So if if you're working on a presentation, you're going to share it right away, then you have the option up here to share. And I can type by board name, by username within our board. No, Adrian's in the meeting, so I'm going to share with him. But if I want to share with a parent as well, I can type, if I know I have to use their email address in here though. This is just my own personal email address, but you have to have the email address for users outside of PVNC. Otherwise, you can just search by name. Then there's some edit rights over here. You can change it to viewer or editor. And what this means is basically if you want them just to be able to view your file and not make changes to it, then you need to select viewer. If you want them to be able to work with, say you're in a working group and you want to share something with the users within the group so that they can collaborate on it and make changes, then you need to select editor as your option. And then you'd give a little description. And basically hit send. And it's, if you're sharing with someone outside of your organization, you'll get a prompt just warning you that they're not within the organization you wish to share anyway. And now Adrian would get an email advising him that I've shared a file with him, and he'll have editor rights to that file. So he'll be able to go in and work on it. If he makes changes to it, I'll see them. If I make changes to it, he'll see them, things like that. So that's kind of your basic sharing option. Some of you may have already played around with that a little bit with files you're sharing amongst staff members within your school. So just wanted you to be aware that you can do that right within the editor. It's the Google Slides editor itself. And there's a little photo here. I see Adrian's opened the file. So now I know he's actually in there working on it as well. If I'd shared it with more users, their little bubble would appear at the top here. So I know that they're actually in there working on the file or viewing it, stuff like that. So that's a nice little handy feature that you can do right from within Slides itself. So those are just sort of the basics, the basic functions within Slides, how to get into the program, how to start a new presentation, how to upload your existing PowerPoint files, move them over to Google Slides. Some of the options I mentioned were like changing the background, inserting video, audio. I always say the best thing, like there's no real guide on how to use this. I mean, there's tutorials through the Learning Academy. There's certainly Google videos. So if you were to Google, see if you couldn't figure out how to do something within Slides and you Googled it, you'd probably likely find an answer somewhere, or maybe even a video that somebody's created. But there's no like official, you know, how to on how to actually play with the program. And so I always say the best thing to do is just, you know, get in there and start moving around, especially if you're familiar with PowerPoint. There's many of the features are the same. So it's just a matter of getting in and actually playing with the program itself, and you know, reaching out if you're not sure. If you get hung up on something, like I say, Google it or go to the Learning Academy and see if it's possible. So those are kind of the basic you know, those are kind of the basic steps you would have if you were using Slides. I do know that we're leaving, you know, quite a bit of time for Q&A, so I'm happy to try to answer your question right now. If not, we can table. If it's something I can't answer, then we can table it, and I'll try to follow up with you. So
I have a few questions.
For sure, Mona. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
Okay, so you were just talking about the sharing, but where did you see how to share it?
Top right-hand corner.
And what am I supposed to be looking at?
Do you have a share button at the top right? If you're in your Google slide, so you can do it.
I'm in a slide presentation right now.
Are you viewing it in presentation mode, or are you viewing it in editor mode, right? So I'm in editor mode right now, where I can manipulate it and do different things.
Yeah, I just opened one up as you were talking, like a brand new thing.
Yeah.
So does it have to be done before you can share? Because I'm not seeing any way to share it.
Do you have anything done in it at all?
No.
Yeah, perhaps you, well, here, let's see. Maybe I'll create a new one. Still loading. There we go.
Oh, I see it now. I've got it now.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't fully loaded, because I noticed that share option at the top right didn't actually appear until all the templates appeared for me.
I had to get rid of all the menus, apparently, like the theme and other things.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Something like that. Okay, so I found that. All right.
Right.
The other
You-
thing was,
you
you were
can also
talking about the
share from Google Drive.
sorry, are you talking to me?
Yeah, you can also share from Google Drive too, right? So when I showed the sharing option, I just wanted folks to be aware that you can share right within slides itself. I do most of my sharing if I need to share between staff members. I do most of it within Google Drive after the fact.
And is there a reason for that?
Usually because I'm working on a presentation that I'm not ready to quite share yet. So it's my own personal entity until I'm ready to share it. And if I'm working mostly within Google Drive, then I know at this point, then I know at what point I'm ready to share it. I just share it within Google Drive. But
Okay.
that's an option too.
Okay. And then I went to the transition and I clicked on transition, and then the sidebar that opens up, it just says none, and there's a drop down arrow, but nothing else comes up. So you talked about having some kind of a shape or something. I don't know.
Do you have more than one slide, or is this something new you're creating? Are you opening an existing PowerPoint?
No, it's just a new thing. I was just trying to do things as you were talking.
Okay. So you have a transition menu.
Yep.
Okay, and then do you get the options on the right for the different styles of transitions? Like
it just says, all it says is slide transition, and then the next one down says none. But if I click on the drop down, it just says none. And if I click on the drop down within, oh, there we go. Never mind.
I promise you, I'm not doing anything in the back end to make it appear for you. I just wonder if it's just loading slow.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, thanks.
No problem. So like I said, there's obviously tons and tons of features that you can do with slides. Like I was watching a video today of a guy that was like, he's a graphic designer. So he's using all sorts of different tools to, he's using all sorts of different formatting tools for texting and for line manipulation and color and shapes and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, I don't think that's important in today's session because those are advanced features, right? Those are things you do when you get familiar with using the program itself. If there's certain functions people want to work with, then we can jump in. But most of us are going to be creating, PowerPoint presentations either to share with staff or maybe some with students in our Google Classroom. So it really is up to you on how detailed you want to get with these.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
When you upload or put a video in your slides,
yes,
can you splice or can you edit that video anywhere if you wanted to put in some words or put in a picture in between something or stop it and add something to it?
Yeah, let me add a video here.
Carol,
Yes.
can you do this to a YouTube video as well, or just one that you've made?
Good question.
That'd be my next question.
Let's try. So I've inserted my own video here, so I have some options on what I want to do. If I want to start it at a certain time, I can start it at a certain time. Right now it's 30 seconds long. So I do have some editing options in there. I could start it at, 15 seconds and end it at 25 seconds if I wanted to. And I have some playback options in there as well, like autoplay when you first go to that slide. If you're presenting, if you want the video to play right away, or do you want the user to have to click on the play symbol, right?
Right.
YouTube, though, that's a good question. Let's try it. I'd imagine you can manipulate it a little bit. Now you're putting me on the spot. What should we search here? Yeah, it looks like the same options are available.
Okay.
Did you find something online that you're trying to post, or that you?
Well, I'm going to try playing with it. And what I was going to do is get some videos of my grandkids and kind of insert something that I'm going to say in between so that the video stops, and then I say something in that, and then the video can goes back on again, turn it back on, or keeps on playing.
So you want? It sounds like it sounds like you're trying to edit the video itself, right? I'm not sure if those options are available in here. You might need more of a higher end editor to do that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then save your finished product as a video, and then import that into Google Slides. This looks like you can do a little bit in here, but it doesn't look like you can't edit the actual source video. You know what I mean?
Yep. But you can speak into it and talk over it, right? You can click to add speaker notes.
You can add an audio file. Yes.
Okay, so if you added an audio file, as if you were making a story to go up, and then kind of pause the video and then say my piece and let the video play on. That's what I'm trying to do. Just it's not really schoolwork, but it's me learning how to use it.
I would say use a video. Look for a video editing program, and do that, and then make your video. Shape your video the way that you want. If you want your own audio added to it, or if you want it to stop at a certain point, I would build that first before you try to import it in here. I think with this is you're importing, videos that are already created.
Yes.
For audio files. So
what did you say? What is it I'm looking for? An edited?
Yeah, just free video.
Such a thing?
Free video editing program.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll Google for you later if you want.
Oh, that's okay. I can do that.
You might even be able to do it on your phone. Like if there's some editing features through a video, like if you create a video on your phone, there may be some editing options, whatever your operating system is. There may be an app there that lets you do that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Daryl.
Okay. Daryl, I have a question. If I have created a couple of math worksheets for one of my students, how can I test it outside of being in Google Slides? Like, how can I see what he would receive and make sure that it's worked, that I've done it correctly?
Just share it with yourself. Do you have a personal email account?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. That's a good answer.
Yeah. Just share it with yourself, and then go in and see what options you have.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I have a couple of daughters that go to Monsignor O'Donoghue that I use their accounts all the time for testing things. So if you get in a pinch, let me know, and you can send it to them, and we'll test it because they're students. So, or you can even create a test classroom if you want to.
Okay.
Any other questions at all, folks?
No, not from
the best thing to do is just to get in. If you're familiar with PowerPoint, then there's really not that much difference, except this is all online based.
Okay. So thank you very much, Daryl.
Anytime.
It's great.
I have one more question, Daryl.
For sure. Yeah, fire away.
So when you open up a brand new document and it has the, click to add the title and the subtitle, can you get rid of those text boxes?
Yeah, let's do that now.
Thank you.
I'm going to close a couple windows here to try to make things go a little faster. Click the box itself so it's highlighted in blue like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just really slow right now. Yeah, I see what you mean. Are you not? Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to move that box away, does it? So you could go to over here. There's some layout options at the top. And then there's a blank template.
Wait, sorry, I've lost your
Top left under
screen.
new slide.
Okay,
There's
sorry,
a little
where
drop
was that?
down where you can the layout if you want to.
Okay.
And there's a blank template in.
But then did you notice it automatically jumps
You can
to the
delete the
second
first slide. I
slide?
just here, let me add another one. I'll add a few. Yeah.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, you just click the slide to delete it. So click the slide on the left. And then,
Perfect.
press
Thank
delete.
you.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, I'll check the chat window here now. It looks like there's some questions coming in. Does a music file get loaded in presentation like a video would? Yes, it would load in the same fashion. There'd be a little plus symbol or a little play symbol. Anne Marie said she couldn't hear me, so we're recording the session, Anne Marie. So we'll get you a copy, or we'll get you a link to the video. And are you still there, Richard? It looks like Mona recommended a video editor there. Cinemaster might be one you could use.
What's it called again?
Cinemaster, C-I-N-E, master. Cinemaster. There's so many, eh?
Yeah, I didn't know they had such things, but I'm not real tech savvy.
Yeah, I'd say just Google video editing programs or free video editing programs, and you might have to look around a little bit to see what's out there.
Appreciate that, Daryl. Thank you. And Mona.
Okay. How do you share, Yvonne just asked, how do you share in Google Classroom without students being able to change it or assign to individual students so you can see how they did? Well, do you have a mic, Yvonne, so we can chat? It's probably easier. Hi there, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So when you share in Google Classroom, when you upload an assignment or when you put an assignment in Google Classroom?
Yeah, so we usually
Is that what
just
you mean?
assign that in the stream. So if a student looks
Yeah.
at it and they go in, like I did a sorting activity, so they can actually drag the pictures. But then for the next
Yeah.
student who looks at that, it's been altered. So do I have to
Right.
assign it individually and then they can submit it? Or
That's right. Yeah,
oh,
because really it's just a big share, right? When you do it that way, when you do it your way, it's just a big share. So everybody has access to it. Everybody can manipulate it.
so I go into
So
the classwork section and then put all their names in. I'm not sure how to do that.
yeah, well, just assign them like create the PowerPoint, or sorry, create the Google slide.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you go to assign them, I believe you can assign to them individually, right? In Classroom. I don't have Classroom in front of me, but I believe you can assign individual files for them, right? That they can edit.
I think so. See, that's the part I haven't really figured out yet.
I think there's a little drop down box in there where you kind of do the same thing, whether view, edit it, and who has the rights to do that.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, I think I
So
saw
you're
that. So you just click on all the students, it will go straight to their email then? Or does it go to their classroom when they sign into
no.
class?
Well, it goes to them and through the assignment you've created, but it creates. So what it does is, so you create the assignment, and then when you add the file to them as an editor, I believe, it creates a file that only they can edit.
Okay, so I would make sure I have editor ticked off.
Yeah. Adrian says you want to create a copy, but yeah, editor.
Okay.
I just don't see it in front of me, but I can follow up with you.
Yeah, somebody kind of explained it and I haven't quite figured it out. So I'm kind of close to figuring it out.
You have the PowerPoint, or do you have the slide, the Google Slides ready to go? You just want to assign it to them individually, right?
Right, so that they can edit it and then submit it and I can see what they did rather than it being where one student does it on the stream, then it's like, then the next person goes to do it and it's already been done.
Yeah, I believe there's an option. So once you create the assignment in Google Classroom, there's an option, create a copy for each student. I believe that's in there somewhere.
Okay.
Right, and then they have individual editing rights to that file.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thanks, Adrian, too. Okay.
Any more questions?
I'm good.
I think if you work with, I didn't show this during the demo, but if you work with graphs, let me see here. Let me get out of here. Just got to wait for it to load. Oops. I've changed my my menus here. Let's see. There we go. Okay. If you go to File, Insert, and you go to the charts are kind of neat because they work directly with Google Sheets, which is the Excel version, the Microsoft Excel version for Sheets. If you go to Insert a Chart, and it gives you a basic chart, but you can manipulate that data right through. So if you click on the little top icon here, you have the option to go to open source. And it builds a table right within Sheets itself. So if you, and then you can muck around with your data in there. So if you change your numbers, and this would apply to any of those chart formats, like bar charts or pie charts. You can see right here, it's showing me, once it loads, it's showing me that the chart is being built based on my numbers now that I'm inputting within Sheets.
Mm-hmm.
You can see my numbers are being manipulated as I change these numbers. And then when I go back to presentation and click on update, new numbers appear in there. So I always say if you're dealing with numbers and you're wanting to deal with charts and pie charts and bar graphs, that's kind of a neat feature.
Is there a line chart in there?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
There it goes. Same idea. Come over here. You can go to the source. It'll open in Sheets, and then you can manipulate your data in there.
Great.
So that's handy if you're doing math or anything like that, or numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of options. I never play with Sheets that much, or slides that often.
Well, it looks like it's a lot of things you can do with it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I say, if you're familiar with PowerPoint, it's pretty much the same thing, except it's online based.
It's great.
And it integrates with our Google tools. So if there's no more questions, I'm gonna wrap it up then. But I hope everybody got something out of this. Follow up with me if you have any questions, or follow up with your school LTS. I'm sure they'll be able to help you out. We're gonna post this recorded meeting sometime soon. So if you missed something or you couldn't see the screen, then you can watch the recorded version.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. Thanks, Daryl.
Much appreciated.